Hey loves, my name is Latoya Ebony. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, take a look around. I've got plenty of natural hair care videos for your viewing pleasure. Feel free to subscribe as well while you're at it. So a few weeks ago, I posted a video on the Andre Walker Hair Typing System, and quite a few of you were still like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't figure this out. This is so weird. And I truly believe that one of the reasons why you can't figure out your hair pattern is because we're also looking at texture. The Andre Walker Hair Typing System is not 100% complete when it comes to the full story of your hair. We are interested in hair porosity, we are interested in hair density, in which I've made videos on, so I will also make sure to leave a card for that. That's going to be very important, but also hair texture is something that is kind of missing from that system. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the LOIS Hair Typing System. I like to call her Lois. The LOIS system focuses on hair strand shape, size, and hair texture.
Side note, this video is going to have an emphasis on texture, specifically telling the difference between the two texture types, cottony and spongy. Don't worry though, more on that later.
So I'm going to gather all this knowledge that I'm going to share with you in this video. I'm going to look at my own hair texture and see if I can figure this out. Here we go.
The LOIS system, my girl Lois. This system determines hair strand patterns by the letters LOIS in a pretty literal sense. L. The L pattern is determined by sharp angles and bends with hardly any curvature to the strands. O. You have an O pattern if your hair strands curl or coil, creating a shape closest to the letter O. I. I patterns don't have any significant bends, curls, or coils, so this might be you if your hair is pretty straight. S. You have an S pattern if your strands curve, creating variations of the letter S. Pretty straight to the point, right? These are strands from all over my head. The two most distinct patterns are from my edges all the way around my head and from my back and center. My strands identify with the O and S patterns, with some strands containing both patterns in one. I think it's important to mention that most people have multiple patterns. I probably have all four throughout my head in various amounts. The African diaspora of people, features, and visual characteristics are so diverse that it's normal to not fit into a cookie-cutter box, so don't sweat it. Just try and choose the most dominant ones and try not to get bogged down by it all. You're dope. Now let's look at strand size. Take a piece of thread and smooth your hair out next to it. If the hair strands are thinner than the thread, you have fine hair, like mine. And if your strands are thicker, they are coarse strands. Now, if they're the same diameter, you have medium strands. Simple. Now let's get to the meaty part, hair texture. The LOIS system has 5 kinds of strand surface textures: thready, wiry, cottony, spongy, and silky. A thready texture has low to moderate sheen, high shine when stretched, absorbs water quickly but loses it just as quickly, and has low frizz. These textures tend to take to chemicals like color and relaxer really fast. Wiry textures have a sparkly sheen, a low shine, and water tends to bead up on the hair, making it very resistant to absorbing water. They're low in frizz, and this texture usually is resistant to breakage and chemicals. It's very strong. A cottony texture has a low sheen, low shine unless it's stretched or straightens. It accepts water readily, but it's slow to absorb it. It has high frizz and has a normal processing rate for chemicals. Spongy textures have high sheen, low shine, even when stretched, absorbs water, but it takes a while to feel saturated, has high compact frizz, and also has a normal processing rate for chemicals. And lastly, silky hair has low sheen, high shine, absorbs water very quickly, and is easily saturated. It can have both high or low frizz, and the strands tend to be pretty fine.
So for me, the description of cottony versus spongy was a little bit too vague. I really couldn't quite figure it out.
So I needed visual reinforcement, and like the nerd I am, I created a chart. It has the surface texture names down the left side and its corresponding characteristics across the top. If you're like me, I have a PDF version you can download in the description box below. Now let's take a look at water absorption speed. This should help me eliminate at least one or two. Now, the first time I did this test, it took me 4 passes under the shower head before my strands felt fully saturated. However, these results weren't conclusive because my hair was covered with moisturizers and a sealant, a leave-in conditioner, 2 passes of styling creams, and an oil. So with this information, I decided to let my hair dry naked with no product overnight with a bonnet, and I'd wake up the next day and try again, and pray my hair didn't snag off in the process. Welcome to natural hair. The next day, we have dry hair, no product, round 2. Fight! No, I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Anyway, this video is sped up, but I stood under the water for about 8 seconds. Now, as you can see, the water is pretty much sitting on top of my hair and doesn't absorb at all. When touching it, it feels dry despite having a coating of water. The second pass, I stay under the water a little longer and move my head to help the water absorb. But the separation from the twist is still intact and it only got slightly wetter. Is wetter a word? Slightly more wet. Now the third pass, I tried to be a little more generous and shook my head to get the water to penetrate. But alas, it only felt about 50% wet. Again. The fourth pass, I squeezed my hair to push the water in, and finally my hair felt saturated. I only needed the roots to absorb the water, so, you guessed it, I went in for a 5th time. Now this part of the experiment isn't a surprise to me because I know that my hair is low porosity. The cuticle layer of my hair is closed, which means it can be difficult to let water in. But once it's in, it stays for a long time. Usually methods like adding heat help with moisture retention. Now my hair is fully absorbed with water, and this is a side-by-side of the first pass and the last. See the difference? Back to the chart. Based on the results, my hair is definitely not thready because it doesn't get saturated with water quickly, like at all. Nor is it silky for the very same reasons. So let's look at frizz. Frizz, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is a tight curl or hair that is tightly curled. I felt some kind of way about that broad definition, so I went to Wikipedia. I know it's not the most credible source, but it has a clearer definition. It states frizz is hair that does not align with the surrounding hair, but stands up or curls independently, creating a fuzzy or irregular texture. Based on this definition, my hair is high frizz, so I get to eliminate wiry from the running. That leaves us with cottony and spongy textures. Deciding will be determined on my hair's sheen versus shine. Sheen versus shine. What's the difference? I think this photo visually illustrates the difference pretty well. Shine has a sharp reflection of light, and it's usually most noticeable on very straight hair because of the ability of light to reflect off of a smooth surface. Sheen has a dull or diffuse reflection of light. This is typically because the strands have a curvature that fractures or breaks up the reflection of light, but as you can see in this comparison, straight hair can also have a sheen and curly hair can also have a shine. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at my hair. This is my hair with absolutely no product. It's naked and shrunken and in direct sunlight. My hair has quite a bit of sheen in its natural state, as well as in twists. The sheen doesn't change too drastically when styled. Adding oil to the hair can punch up the sheen like the footage on the left, so it's best to test this on hair with no product. This is my son's hair. His hair has a lower sheen even though he has a looser curl pattern than I do. This surprised me. Curl pattern doesn't necessarily determine strand surface texture. Alright, let's go deeper. One of the characteristics of cotton textured hair is low sheen but high shine when it's stretched. These images show that my hair doesn't naturally get shiny even when it's flat ironed. If I don't use oil or a glosser, it stays pretty low in shine. This is the fact that closed the deal for me. So based on the sheen characteristic, I can cross off cottony texture. I seriously lucked out with my son having cottony texture, so I can show you a side-by-side. His hair has low sheen, high shine when stretched, high frizz, and is also very, very slow to absorb water. So according to the LOIS system, I have spongy textured hair. It is high sheen, low shine, compact high frizz, and absorbs water slowly. My strands are O and S, and they are very, very fine.
So you can see that the hair texture spongy versus cottony is very closely linked. So I hope that this video was able to bring you a little bit more clarity to that section. So that is the LOIS Hair Typing System. I do believe that the Andre Hair Typing System and the LOIS system do overlap in some areas, and if you combine that with hair density and porosity, you can build a hair regimen that is successful in growing healthy, long, gorgeous hair. So I will link the Andre Walker Hair Typing System here, and I will also link the hair density and hair porosity video here for your viewing pleasure. I hope that this helps you, and I hope that you enjoy. Bye!